What's up everyone, Michael Taylor from 64 Motorsport. Today I'm going to do an update in terms of where I'm up to with my E46. I've got a fair bit sort of covered off since my last video where I gave a run through. I thought it was a good opportunity to fill everyone in terms of what's been installed, what's complete and what I've still got to go, or in terms of what I've still got to do to get this thing fired up and back on the road. So I wanted to give you as an update, but before I do that, there's a couple of things I've got to get done today. Firstly, on the inside, I haven't finished putting the trim back on after I installed the short shift kit. And also on the boot area, I want to get all that lining back into place and the mats and the spare tyre and all that sort of thing back in, mainly to sort of free up some space on my rack, but also it just ticks another box off. The other thing I'm going to do today is, with the supercharger install, I had everything sort of loose fitted up for positioning and, you know, to work out where wiring and that's got to go. So I've already started adjusting things to get, you know, the wiring harnesses run better because it takes up a fair bit of space. I'm going to have to reposition some of the wiring and the vacuum lines. So I want to get that done today as well. And while I'm doing all that, I'm painting up. I don't know if you can see it there. I've got a bit of a, there you go. It's really windy today, so I've made up a bit of a temporary spray booth to get the, I guess you call it the cover plate, which goes over the fuel filter underneath the car. So I've got all that cleaned up. I had it primed. I've got my first coat of red on it, but I've still got another couple of coats of red to put on it, and then do the underside and then clear coat it. So a fair bit to get through today. And I'll also give you an update in terms of where I'm up to with my E46 build. So I want to get the center console trim done first, and then the stuff in the boot, I'll get that done next. Set the camera up on the tripod and we'll get started on that. So what do you think about the interior trim? I've got all that console back in. You know, when I first bought the car, I really liked the cream and the walnut, but the more I've been doing on the car and trying to sort out colour themes and things like that, the less sure I am about it. And I'm kind of thinking about going more for a black with either a brushed stainless trim or maybe carbon fibre. Post us some comments in terms of what you think as an option for the interior, whether I should keep it the same or whether I should change it to black. But anyway, I'm going to keep going. That's one job ticked off. I'm going to get started on the getting all the boot lining back in and the spare and all that sort of thing. Keep going with that and I'll be back to ya. Sorry about the light, guys. Can't really do much about it at this time of day. The sun just sets over there. So, but I've got the boot lining done, so it's another job ticked off the box. I've got another coat of red onto my fuel filter cover. Now I'm going to start sorting out the wiring position for the supercharger, and it's not necessarily the wiring for the supercharger I've got to sort out, it's the wiring that runs from basically the left-hand side of the engine over to where the Vanos and camshaft position sensors and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to work out a new route where it fits behind the alternator and then comes up behind the oil filter housing, and hopefully the existing harness is long enough to sort of make that small adjustment. So I'm going to work on that. I want to get the clamps tightened up on the intake pipe and get all that sorted out as well. So yeah, if you've ever worked on the intake pipe work on one of these M54 engines, you'll know it's not really easy, and if it's never come off, the guys in the factory seem to put the clamps in a really difficult position to get it undone. So I had devil's own time getting it off, and I'm going to make sure that when I tighten up these clamps that I get them into a position so in terms of maintenance it's going to be a lot easier. So I'll make sure I've got them positioned so that I can easily get a screwdriver or a socket onto it so I can take them off. So I'm going to sort that out and work out the best position for that, and get those tightened up, and then we should be sweet. So I'm still working on that intake system. There's not a lot of room to work on. If you've ever worked on the intake system on an E46, you'll know how limited the space is, and I'm just trying to get that smaller tube, get the clamp onto it, and the stub is only probably an inch long. You don't have a lot of play in terms of the positioning of the clamp, and then you've got to get underneath the car with a heap of extensions and the socket to be able to tighten it up, and it seems every time I go to tighten it, the clamp seems to creep further along the hose and off the stub. What I'm going to try doing is positioning the clamp, putting a cable tie there to stop the clamp from moving across on the hose, and see if that makes a difference, and we'll keep going from there. The main silicon hose that goes onto the intake body is pretty straightforward. Hopefully I can get that done and we should be sweet, and that's pretty much the supercharger ready to fire up apart from getting the belt on. Yeah, I'll keep going with that and we'll see how we go. Hopefully I can get it done before nightfall. Okay, so I've pretty much got that done. I'll just show you the area that I've been working on. It's really tight access, so I'll just move the camera around to give you a look. So just down in there. So, supercharger I'll have finalised this week, and I'm hoping to start getting the camshafts and the timing gear back in this week. But I want to make sure I leave myself a bit of time to do it, because it's not the sort of job that you want to be rushing to do. As far as an update goes, in terms of where I'm at, all the rear's done. I've even got the rear fender liners back in. All the suspension work's done. I've got the Super Pro polyurethane diff bushers and diff carrier bushers in. The upper control arm, I've upgraded the bushers in them to M3 spec, so that's done. I've installed the adjustable rear control arm from Turner Motorsport, that's in. The rear trailing arm bushers, I've replaced those, and I've installed the Turner Motorsport aluminium shims for that as well. Coilovers obviously, and the ground control rear strut mount, they're installed, and the Turner Motorsport sway bar with adjustable end links and polyurethane bushers in there as well. The Super Sprint exhaust has been polished and has been installed. As far as the gearbox goes, I've got the UUC short shift kit with the dual shear selector rod, and I've installed polyurethane gearbox mounts from, where did I get them from? Rogue Engineering. And while I was doing that, I replaced the engine mounts. I've gone for the Group N equivalent from Bimmer World, so they're in. Up the front, the sway bar's in, coilovers are in, new tie rods are in, and also the lower control arm bushes, I've replaced that. I've gone for the Turner Motorsport. They're like a spherical bearing pillow ball type bushing for the lower control arms, which is going to give a more precise and more accurate steering response there. So they're in, and of course the StopTech big brake kit is in. So under the bonnet, as I say, I've just got to finish finalising the plumbing and the wiring, get all that reconnected. Bits of plastic have got to go back in, and of course the camshafts and timing gear, Vanos, new valve cover gasket, and that sort of thing. So getting really close in that respect. The front fender liners are in. I've still got a fair bit of plastic to go. I've got to get the front bumper on. I've got to do some modifications to that because there was a couple of brackets and mounts that were cracked, so I've got new mounts that I've already ordered and they're sitting in my box down there ready to go in. So the front bumper should fit a lot better than what I did before. It was some big gaps in it before because of the broken mounts, but that should tighten that up. Getting the tyres fitted to my rims this week, and I've got the spacers ordered, but they're just on back order at the moment. They should arrive at Turner Motorsport on or around about the 13th of August, and then I guess 7 to 10 days for shipping. Once they get there, I can get the wheels fitted up and then basically get it back onto the ground and make my adjustments in terms of the coilover height. Still a little bit concerned. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to roll the fenders, but I'll wait till I've got the spacers and the tyres on before I make that decision. Getting really, really close. I'm thinking 3 to 4 weeks and I should be ready to fire it up. VF Engineering sent a flash tune with the supercharger kit, but because I've got the Super Sprint exhaust and the Schrick cams, I'm going to take the flash tune, take it down, get it dynoed and get them to tune it, and that's the plan once I've got it rolling. So yeah, really close, and I'm really looking forward to firing it up and seeing what this thing sounds like. It's been years and years, so I'm really missing the girl and really excited about finally getting it fired up because I can really see the light at the end of the tunnel now, which is really exciting. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my update and it gave you a bit of an insight in terms of what I've been up to for the last month or so. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, and if you want to see more content on maintenance, performance upgrades, and to follow what I'm doing with my E46, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified each time a new content comes out. And until we meet again, look after yourselves, stay safe, and TTFN.